been people who you consider to be heavy hitters.
Exactly, and we'll see how these heavy hitters face off now as we are diving into Team Vitality versus Starlight Twinkle as our first best of 7 of the night, our first Team League match here in round 3, and we kick things off with Maru versus Krystianer.
Indeed, we do a nice little bit of TVP as the appetizer to our evening. We actually have a lot of TVP coming down the line tonight.
We do. We have a lot of TVP here, and what a one to kick things off as well. As Maru, of course, he is the ace player of Team Vitality. I would say he's the best Terran player in the world, and he's up against Krystianer, who's an up-and-comer from the European region, and he has been doing very well for himself. As a reminder, it was also in WTL, as the week 1 of WTL, Krystianer took down Raynor in the ace match of Starlight Twinkle versus Basilisk. Krystianer also took a map off of Showtime as well, but he was able to flex his skill against Protoss and against Zerg. What about his versus Terran?
Yeah, so far, I mean, he did end up getting O2'd by Coffee just last week, but of course, Coffee, very, very different player than Maru. More of a, I would say, a thinking man's Terran. So I wouldn't blame any player in the world, especially a Protoss player, for falling to some of the tricks that Coffee has up his sleeve. Maru, on the other hand, still absolutely terrifying, but a little bit of a different style. And here we go, jumping in Ghost River in the top right hand corner. We have our blue Terran player representing Vitality. It's Maru.
And in the top left, we have his opponent for Starlight Twinkle, Krystianer.
I've been saying to myself, like, as we were loading in, keep the intros quick. They are fast. You know, WTL, they like to speed that along. I've been telling that myself over and over, but I don't think my mouth will ever get used to it.
It's hard. It's a hard adaptation here, especially with our renowned intros. So we'll get used to it, I'm sure, over the course of the season. We'll try our best, at least. We'll try our best. And yeah, this is going to be a really interesting one. As you were saying, you know, Maru, I would still rate him as the best Terran player in the world. So, you know, it doesn't go too well for Krystianer.
I don't think there'll be any big disagreements there.
Sure, there's some people coping out there about some other Terran players, like Hon Mono, for example. True. Okay. Coffee as well. You're not wrong. Strong contender. But we'll see what Krystianer has in store for us, has planned. Because what's important, what I love about WTL, and I'm sure you picked up on it as well, is that WTL does favor a lot of prepared play, right? You come in with a build, with a map of choice, even a losing picking map as well, as it is loser's pick, so you do have a backup plan up your sleeve. And because of that, that is why we see a lot of upsets. That's why we see some crazy results that we otherwise would not in some of these other more standard events.
Yeah, a lot of our players who have mostly been playing in, who don't really have a lot of experience in a preparation format, right? A lot of players who, you know, haven't been able to go over to Korea, haven't been able to play in Code S, which I think is pretty much the main tournament that still uses that format. A lot of times do end up getting blindsided when they face a player who has had a week or even just a couple of days to really analyze their style, their replay, and come up with a game plan.
Yeah, it's really cool to see this kind of variety and this format showcased once again, and we'll see how our players are able to, or what kind of builds are able to really showcase here. Already we have a Twilight Council opener out of Krystianer, so he's going to be going something a little bit more aggressive here, going for Blink. I say that we have actually seen a rise in popularity of Dark Templar. I'm not saying that's what we're going to be seeing from Krystianer, but we've seen it more often than not nowadays.
You're telling me.
Oh, no.
I'm glad to know that that's not just reflective of my own low-level ladder experience, but it is something that the pros are also bringing out as well.
Yeah, I know what it is, but it seems to be a little bit trendy nowadays to whip it out like once in a tournament.
I feel like it's cyclical, you know, with Dark Templar. They'll fall out of fashion, but every couple of months, after players kind of forget that they exist, Protoss players will be like, you know what? I feel like doing them again.
Unironically, I mean, it works well. It does work well, but here we go. Blink is going to be on the way. Hellion dives in. Hellion's going to get picked off, but we do manage to pick off some of these workers with the scout as well, I believe.
Yeah, I believe Maru was just about able to catch that Templar Archives, Twilight Council, researching something, most likely Blink. It would be insane if it was charged, but at the very least, he can cross Dark Templar off his list.
Yeah, can cross that off for now. Behind this, setting up for his own mind drop. I'll be honest, I have not seen a mind drop in quite some time in the new patch, so it's great to see a return here. Obviously, with the new patch, this was nerfed a little bit, and it is a little bit more difficult to really get some value out of this. So we have seen a lot of players stray away from it. I'm happy to see Maru embrace it, though, once again.
Yeah, as am I, as somebody who does this exclusively in TVP, but yeah, very good catch here from Krystianer. He was able to keep his scouting probe alive, and with it, was able to catch that Maru was going across the map with this little scout. Maru will unload, will unburrow, and will reload. With those mines back into the medevac, he wants way more than just 2 probe kills.
Yeah, he gets 2 worker kills, and as you mentioned, he keeps those Widow Mines alive, so very clean control here out of Maru, does preserve all of his units. Meanwhile, Krystianer did not go for an aggressive build. He went 2-gate blink into a third. Third next is already on the way, so a much more economic, much more defensive opener here out of Krystianer.
Yeah, and I definitely can't say I blame him. Maru not only has a bit of a reputation of going very aggressive when he sees an opportunity, but we are on Ghost River, and it is a very, very short rush to this map. I don't quite have the stats on this yet, but I believe it is ever so slightly Terran favored in TVP, just because of how quickly you can hit with a timing attack.
Speaking of timing attack, that's exactly what Maru's going for. I don't know if you noticed, but he's making Banshees. Making Banshees right now, he's prioritized tank production as well. He is pushing here on 2 bases. The Banshees are not to harass, they're to reinforce the main army.
Yeah, definitely an interesting choice coming out from Maru, but one that we do see every now and then.
Yeah, as of late, we've seen players like Oliveira and Beyond go for this kind of 2-base all-in style, and Maru, he is pushing forward. You can see that Krystianer is trying to slow him down, trying to force a siege, but Maru, he refuses to siege up.
Yeah, he knows he doesn't have to yet, and now he has made it to the checkpoint in a push like this, which is just behind these rocks. Very safe location for these tanks. Does have to be a little bit careful not to get flanked by the Stalkers, but that is what the Banshees are for. One of them will get picked off. Stalker's going to do whatever they can across the map, whatever they can to really mess up Maru's economy, but he's got the safety tank up the ramp. Krystianer knows that he can't really go that direction.
Yeah, exactly. He cannot break that main base. He can try to harass that natural. At the same time, we dive into the natural base of Krystianer as well. Maru pushing in, and he still has all of his tanks.
Yeah, all of his tanks, the vast majority of his Marines stayed alive. Does Maru actually have Stim yet? He doesn't. He's only researching it now. And still he's doing devastating damage.
Yeah, and again, he's breaking through the natural base. Good target firing here on the Stalkers as well. Does go for the Immortal Will. Looks like the tanks are going to be going down. Krystianer, he does focus him down as best he can, but there's still so many Marines.
So many Marines. This Raven has a lot of energy. A couple of auto turrets do get thrown down. Banshee providing a little bit of additional DPS and also acting as a little bit of a damage sponge here against these Stalkers. Tank will come in with additional Marines to reinforce, and I don't see Krystianer holding from this position forward.
Yeah, I mean, killing the third was already good enough, and now we have broken the natural. So many probes are going to be going down as the boys are being pulled, and GG, Maru will take game number 1.
Just like so. Look at him flex that water bottle afterwards. It's buckling under him.
Oh my god, GG, a solid build there out of Maru, and again, that build, especially on Ghost River, hits that much harder. You talked about the rush distance by ground, you talked about how quickly you can move out across the map. On top of that, because Krystianer went for a fast third base, he did lack his production, he did lack his army to actually try and defend and hold on against that. There was quite a lot there working against Krystianer in game 1.
Yeah, hindsight is 2020, right? I feel like that wasn't the worst choice from Krystianer to play a bit more defensively, to try to get to a 3-base economy as quickly as you can and try to defend from there, because the alternative is to just be contained on 2 bases, and that is absolutely the last thing you want as a Protoss player against a Terran player. But yeah, as we saw, pretty much everything else was working against his favor.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a good punish there from Maru. Again, just a good build against Krystianer's opener. And with that, Maru already takes game number 1. And now we're getting into game number 2. Now, this is where things get interesting because it is Krystianer's map of choice. You saw very little hesitation there as well. Oceanborn was picked immediately, and we're diving on in.
Here we go in the bottom right. It's a blue Terran player for Vitality Maru.
And in the top left for Starlight Twinkle, it is Krystianer.
Gotta go fast. That's what the vitality in vitality means.
Mm-hmm.
Stands for speed. No, wait, I'm thinking of velocity. Never mind.
Have you not played any RPG? So what's going on? That's just not true. Yeah, we do have a game number 2 chosen here by Krystianer, and because it's his map of choice, my attention has to be on him. Likewise, it's going to be on Maru to try and piece together what kind of build Krystianer plans on whipping out here on Oceanborn.
Yeah, we shall see. It seems to be his preferred map pick, well, in general, it is just a pretty popular map, but a few times Krystianer has had the opportunity to choose the loser's pick. He has chosen Oceanborn.
Oh yeah, has chosen Oceanborn time and time again. This is kind of his comfort zone, and we'll see again what he does bring to the table. For now, we're just getting into our openers. We're keeping an eye on our production of choice here from Maru and Krystianer. Maru has opted not to go for a proxy. Often we don't really need to point that out, but again, it's Maru, so I feel like we have to point that out here for him.
Oh yeah. It's been 6 years since his infamous GSL Code S run, where he did nothing but proxy, I think, in every single game, and yeah, he still will never shake that reputation, I think.
I mean, for good reason, because he still does it every now and then. Like, he's an animal.
He does.
Yeah. But for now, it's going to be a double gas opener out of Maru, so going for a bit of a more aggressive build this time, going for a delayed CC into a faster factory.
Yeah, a little bit more safe coming out from Maru than what I think we're used to. Wonder how much he's been researching Krystianer in the lead up to this match. Whether he knows that Krystianer, isn't one to shy away from going for a couple of proxies of his own when he's on the back foot.
Yeah, like, we know that WTL is a pretty big tournament for a lot of these teams, especially this season where there's been like a boosted prize pool, there's a little bit more support, so WTL has quite a lot on the line. So I'm sure players, even of the caliber of Maru, are also taking this very seriously. We can see that Krystianer once again is going for a Twilight Council opener, so it's going to be Blink, but how many gateways and how greedy or how safe does he want to be? That's going to be the question that Maru has to answer.
I love this from Maru. He jumps up the Reaper ramp and jumps down because he anticipates a wall, realizes there's no wall, has to go back and scout.
And does has to back off. Has yet to get behind the mineral line, bear that in mind. Meanwhile, Probe comes in and we do confirm the Cyclone-based opener here of Maru, as again he's playing very safe, as you mentioned, just making sure he's able to keep up with any kind of shenanigans, even like an Oracle-based opener or something like that. He would be able to shut it down as he already moves that across the map.
Yeah, I wasn't quite able to go directly behind the mineral line, but I think he did scout. He did spy a little bit of research on that Twilight Council, so he knows that it's not going to be anything like a Stargate just yet. Goes across the map to apply a little bit of pressure and to just double confirm everything that he suspects so far.
Oh, and interesting, as it's being pointed out by the Observer, once again it's going to be a Banshee opener, but this time it's going to be Blink. Sorry, this time it's going to be Cloak here from Maru, as last game we skipped Cloak and we just prioritized more tank production and just a 2-base push in general. Meanwhile, Krystianer staying on 2 bases, this time he's going 4-gate Blink Stalk.
Much more aggressive this time, and this time Maru is even less ready to really deal with that. The Reaper stays alive, however, jumps back into the main, confirms the 4 gates. Maru immediately switching gears.
Yeah, now Maru is fully aware of the aggression coming his way. Now he knows that he doesn't have to be the one to push this out. He has to receive the aggression of his opponent. Prism is on the way as we speak. Blink is about to finish up, and Krystianer is going to be the one to move out. And as a response, Maru throws down those bunkers.
Just like so. Throws on the bunkers. Makes sure that his tank production is on point. He already made these Banshees, so he might as well send them across the map, try to get some damage done with them.
Yeah, exactly. The Banshee's coming in for a backstab. I mean, the army's moving out. There's not much at home to defend. Maru, he can get a lot of damage done with these Cloak Banshees, and he could even try to force an all-in out of Krystianer.
Yeah, I mean, there's not even detection out just yet. The Observer is going to be rallied across the map. Maru has 2 tanks. He is trying his best to wall off. Go for the shield battery.
Yeah, the shield battery is going to be targeted down first before going for the rest of the mineral line. Meanwhile, the Stalkers have arrived. Krystianer has high ground vision. He can dive into the main base. Meanwhile, the warping across map does complete, but where is the detection?
slowly making its way back home. There's enough Stalkers here to deal with this Banshee that will be killed, but not before 5 probes get taken out. And he also forces to recall back home instead of over here across the map, so Krystianer's aggression is going to be even weaker than it initially was.
Yeah, exactly. As he loads up, he's trying to dive into the main base. So you can see Maru, he is so prepared for this. He has the Banshee in position just to scout, just to spot. He's fully aware. His tanks are sieged up as well, and I don't see Maru taking much damage from this at all.
Yeah, none whatsoever. He also knows that with the War Prism coming here behind the mineral line, he doesn't need to support his tanks. There is no alternative high ground vision available here for Krystianer.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he sends his Marines, he can deal with that, and yeah.
Yeah, as he's just trying to poke in. We do see back at home, Krystianer's transitioning. We have a 3rd base on the way, we have a robotics bay, a forge, charge has started up, but all this is delayed. All this is late. The initial plan was to commit with 4-gate blink, and that plan is in the dumpster at the moment, so Krystianer doing his best to try to deviate away from that.
Even the Cyclone from earlier, it's being useful over here. Chip battery not quite in range to support some of these probes that are towards the south. Or we'll pick a couple more of them off before the Banshee gets taken out.
Yeah, 2 more probes go down, but nothing too significant here. There's a scan at the 3rd base location, so Maru, he confirms that there is a 3rd. Now he knows there's another 2 base all in, and he knows that he should be able to break out. And there we go, there's the unsiege of the tanks. Maru should soon be pushing out to either take his 3rd base or go for his own move out.
Or both.
True.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the army supply difference right now. Maru far, far ahead. 57 to 47 at the moment. Krystianer is getting high-tech units, though, behind all of this. Colossus is almost about to be out, and Thermalance is about halfway done.
Yeah, it's still in production here. He desperately does need it for this push. You can see the goal here of Krystianer once again is to slow down the army, force up the sieges, and to just buy time before Maru's able to get across the map. For now, Maru, he's still just consolidating his forces. He hasn't pushed out yet. Krystianer trying to be as active as possible to slow that down when it comes.
Yeah, Maru wants to be able to hit with as strong of a force as possible, and that means not committing to a stim or anything like that when he doesn't need to.
I mean, he's up to 5 tanks, by the way. As you mentioned, he has Stim, he has Combat Shields, soon to be Concussive Shell. Massive tank flow is going up on these Stalkers as well. 1 Stalker goes down, and Maru may even pull the points with this. I believe there's no 3rd CC.
None in production. This is another 2-base all-in coming down from Maru. Starting to lose his SCVs back home to a bit of a Zealot run-by.
Do you see the line in the minimap? That's the boys, Poppy. The boys have been pulled!
The boys have, in fact, been pulled. Raven will... Did he not research Interference Matrix?
I don't know, he didn't. He got cloaked.
He might... He did get cloaked. He didn't research Interference Matrix, but he may just have an overwhelming enough force that it doesn't matter. That Krystianer has these 2 Colossus. They do have Thermalance, so Maru does need to be careful. Most of his boys, his SCV buffer has been taken out. He still has a lot of tanks, though, and he can still target fire down these Colossus. They will get taken out, and with that, the backbone of Krystianer's army has fallen. Maru lost a lot of units in that, but he's still far, far ahead in the supply.
Exactly.
And he has to be, because he doesn't have an economy anymore.
Exactly, he's completely all in, but he has 3 tanks here supporting his army. He has plenty of fire forcing its way towards the natural. We collapse on this, we do focus on one of those tanks. Can we get every single tank? It's close! Ooh.
Here comes a reinforcing tank. Those boys, after the Colossus went down, they're no longer buffering. They are repairing the tanks. Maru knows that this is the backbone of his army. He knows that he needs to keep them alive in order to keep this push going, and he has to keep this push going. He has no plan B.
Yeah, he has no backup plan here. The boys are being pulled. We collapse on top of the tanks once again, but we're running out of steam. We're running out of Zealots, and Maru, he still has too much. He's breaking on through. He's broken the back. GG gets called, and Maru will take the 2-0 over Krystianer.
GG. Just takes another swig.
He's like drinking his own body weight, like worth of water. Like the bottle is as big as him. It's crazy.
The bottle is exactly.
My God. That's impressive.
Maru, he's a real Hydra homie.
100%, mate. When we say Hydras, mate, Maru, he's already got his bottle all the way up, mate. He is... It's crazy.
He'll hydrate your Hydras.
He will. GG, well played. Very well executed there by Maru. Again, it was a straight up 2-base all-in. Krystianer, unfortunate build of choice. Or I say unfortunate build. Unfortunate that Maru was able to scout, right? Maru, he scouted everything. He responded so well. The 4-gate blink did nothing to Maru. And Krystianer was struggling to recover from that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The 4-gate did nothing. And then behind all of that, the little bits of harass that Maru was doing just put Krystianer even further behind. It's just, yeah, good response overall.
Mm-hmm.
Every time Maru sees something, he knows what the correct answer is.
Yeah, exactly. It was on Krystianer to try to hide that build as best he could, to try to catch Maru off guard. Alas, he did not. Maru was so prepared for everything, and with that, we do have a 2-0 lead here for Team Vitality. But to be fair, Maru, again, you know, he's one of the best players in the world. He's the ace player of Team Vitality for a reason. He does take a lead here, and we'll see if the rest of Starlight Twinkle can bounce back and fight back for their team.
That we shall. And I have a pretty good feeling going into our next match, because it is going to be a ZVZ. It is going to be Solar versus Cham. And you might be thinking I'm crazy. You might be thinking that Solar against almost every Zerg player, I mean, he's got to be favored, right? But I believe in El Campeon. I think he's really, to be fair, he's been playing in ZVPs so far in WTL, but so far in the tournament, he's been showing a lot that he is very much in form. He 2-0 Trigger of all players and was the only player on SLT who was able to take a map off his opponent last week.
Yeah, Cham in ZVP has been very crazy. He's been very all-in and very aggressive, and as you mentioned, he caught Trigger off guard. He even caught Strange off guard as well. Like, Cham, he's been really proving himself in the ZVP matchup, but we haven't seen much of him against Terran or Zerg. That's a reality here. So he's a little bit more of a question mark coming in. You know, we're still not really sure where to place him exactly, but we know where to place Solar. That's the problem here, is that he is the Serral Slayer, right? His ZVZ is some of the best in the world.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think there was probably a period of time last year where I don't think there was any debate. Solar was just overall the best CVZ player in the world.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit thrown into question. You know, we're getting a couple of Zerg players out of retirement. A couple of the other Zerg players as well have caught up to where Solar was at. And we've had a couple of patches in between, but
yeah,
Chelsea.
Definitely, as we're now getting into our second matchup, and here we go in the bottom left-hand corner. We have Solar for Team Vitality.
And over in the top right, yes, top right, we have the red Zerg player Cham for SLT. Starlight Twinkle.
SLT.
SLT.
Here we go. But yeah, that was a really interesting period of time when Solar was, you know, on top of the world. That was off the back of his win, of the Team Vitality win over Basilisk in the finals, when Solar was able to kind of flex for quite some period. Yeah, true, back when they were onside. He was able to flex for quite some period over Serral. But as you mentioned, it was post that kind of era where Serral, it did look like he reflected a lot on those series and on Solar as well, and that was kind of like the moment where Serral kind of switched to be the aggressor himself, and for him to be the one to dictate the pace of the game instead of his opponent.
Yeah, that's canon, by the way. Serral's villain origin story is being beaten by Solar.
It's all Solar's fault. True. Aye. Yeah, we'll see what Cham has to offer here coming into this. For now, we're getting into our openers. Nothing looking too crazy. We are mirroring each other for the most part here as we settle into Amphion as our map of choice.
Yeah, map of my choice. Hasn't steered me wrong. For some... Okay.
Go on.
I feel like this might just be... I don't remember what it's called, but it's that bias where you're looking for patterns where they might not necessarily exist. I feel like every time I've seen Amphion, it's mostly been in a mirror matchup.
Yeah, Amphion's been an interesting one. Just because it is one of the more vetoed maps as well. I feel like we mainly see this in WTL, and because of that, like, player, or I should say, teams, they kind of like feel their players, and then, you know, maybe some things line up there. It's hard to say, but yeah, I feel like we've seen a decent amount of ZVZ on this map as of late.
Yeah. A lot of ZVZ. I personally have witnessed a fair amount of TBT on this map.
Oh, I see. Have you been enjoying it?
I have, actually.
Oh, there you go.
It's very... I don't know what it is, but it's very common, I find, for my opponents to try to go for a quick tank push, or sometimes even proxy tanking.
Oh my god!
And then just dying immediately because I hold and they have no counter and they have no backup plan.
Yeah, all-inning is tricky on this map, just because, I mean, some of the features of this map is the fact that you have a ramp leading to the natural, which is not the most common of features anymore in the map pool. On top of that, you have a really secure third base. Like, if you can mine through those minerals, that third base is kind of difficult to really engage in some of these other matchups.
Yeah, I mean, not even just that secure third base location, but there's also the other triangular-ish third base location that... Sure, it's a little bit more exposed, but if you are able to fortify that, you have a really good foothold into your opponent's half of the map.
Definitely has made. We're popping off, by the way, because Shammy seems like, no! The Lings, they slip into the main base. The wall was not a wall, and we get a full scout of the main as well. I was about to talk about how we skip Link speed and we're rushing into a lair, but Solar sees everything.
And he's gonna double see everything as even more Lings slip in, just to make sure that Cham isn't pulling a meal mic on him. Just to make sure that he doesn't suddenly cancel the tech randomly.
Yeah, exactly. Just making sure he keeps eyes on everything. I mean, all gases have been taken. We have +1 carapace on the way. This looks like a bit of an old school Roach Ling all-in, where you prioritize carapace, you flood with Lings across the map, and you hope that your opponent did not get a Bailey Nest, so you try to break on through. As I say that, it's going to be +1 range on the way from Cham, carapace from Solar.
Interesting. So it looks like both of them are looking to get into those Roach Wars, into Roach v Roach. Cham obviously going to get there a little bit sooner, but Solar will have the defender's advantage on his side.
Yeah, not just that, but the better economy as well, bearing in mind that Solar already has a third base up and running. He's droning as we speak, so Solar, he should be able to take a worker lead, and with that, eventually overtake Cham in the Roach production as well. So Cham is going to be on a bit of a timer here. We'll see what he can do with this +1 range timing. We'll see when Cham decides to cut drones. At the moment, he's on 44. He should be droning up a little bit more from here, but no, he makes an extra wave of Roaches.
Okay, Cham is looking to play very aggressive, to say the least. Well, might as well, right? He already planned to go this route. He was already planning to go for an attack. Even though he's been found out, the best shot that he has is to just execute it. Execute it and hope that he can deal enough damage to Solar's economy to the point where he's back on even footing.
Yeah, Cham is basically borderline all in. I say borderline because he just made a wave of drones, so I'm a little bit perplexed here. He did invest very heavily into these roaches, and Cham is so far behind in the worker count because it's been prioritizing roach production by so much. So we'll see what he gets done as he is now moving out.
Yeah, starting to move out. +1 range about to finish up for him. +1 carapace already done for Solar.
Yeah. And Cham is droning. He's chilling. He's droning up. We have +2 on the way as well. Cham did amass an army, but it looks like it's just for show more than anything. And now our eyes turn to Solar, because Solar, he's been able to be on a higher drone count for longer, and now they're translating into a soon-to-be much larger army.
Yeah, I was about to be worried here for Cham, anticipating an attack that I don't think he would have been able to win on any circumstances. So yeah, thankfully Cham thinks the same way, and he is just droning up back home and trying to catch back up when it comes to his economy. Actually slightly overtaking Solar when it comes to the drone count.
Yeah, it does slightly overtake him here. Solar still amassing up his own roaches. Roach speed about to finish up. +1 rage just now setting up for Solar as well. And with that, despite how tense the start of this game was, and it was very tense, we are getting into the mid-game here. We're getting into those Roach Wars, as you mentioned. I do still favor Solar's position, just because, again, his economy has been better for longer, but Cham is catching up, and if given time, Cham can stabilize.
Yeah, can. He arguably already has. It's really on one of these players to make a first move, whether it's the first player to get a 4th base or the first player to attack. And it looks like Cham is going to be the first player to get a 4th.
There we go. 4th base is on the way for Cham. Again, he did drone up a little bit more here. Both players getting up to 3 base saturation. You can see 65 versus 67 drones. It's, again, around 3 base saturation. Cham also taking up into an infestation pit. That is the first sign here of Hive Tech for Cham.
Interesting. Hive Tech with roaches. I mean, what would you get in a scenario like this, Light? I'm thinking pretty much just
Lunkers.
Just Vipers.
Yeah,
Vipers.
Vipers.
With no hydrogen?
Oh, we'll get there.
Oh. But there's a... If he wants to get there, we'll get there. If lunkers are asked, we'll get lunkers.
We'll get the lunkers, Papi. We do see an infestation mid on the way now for Solar. Bearing in mind, Solar, he just scouted the infestation mid of his opponent, so he knows that, again, Hive Tech is going to be a possibility here from Cham. So we are just entering further on into the late to mid game here. Roach armies are pushing out. They're going to be clashing. A Hive on the way already here by Cham.
Yeah, but will he be able to utilize that Hive before this attack? Both players are now maxed out. Cham slightly higher on the upgrade and the quantity of roaches. Army supply, that's the term I was thinking of.
Yeah, the army supplies are pretty close, as you mentioned, slightly in favor of Cham. There's a hydrogen on the way for Solar, so again, Lunker Tech is on the horizon from Solar. I'm surprised that Cham hasn't thrown down his own hydrogen yet either, as he still only has a Hive. Meanwhile, he does have the bit of concave here on Solar.
He does, but Solar is also sneaking in a couple of roaches to really stretch Cham's attention. Cham needs to be careful not to overreact to this. He will still lose drones regardless. I mean, his worker count is actually plummeting in comparison to Solar's right now. But still not a huge overreaction. Cham is still stable.
Yeah, he does stabilize here. We can see that Solar is already got the Lurker Den on the way. It's lined up with the Hive, so really good timing here from Solar. Cham, this Hydrogen is late. Ideally, you want to start the Hydrogen with the Hive, so then by the time the Hydrogen finishes, you start the Lurker Den. Lurker Den finishes in time with the Hive, and you can start up upgrades. So Cham is a little bit mistimed here with his production. As a result, Solar's actually going to beat him to Lurkers.
Yeah, which is surprising.
Yeah.
All our eyes were on Cham. You called it first.
Oh boy, and I mean, Cham, he's at least making use of +3. You know, +3 is on the way, so the upgrade advantage is going to be in favor of Cham. The Roaches are still trying to get past each other. So far, Solar able to keep up. Cham not finding a way through. And what's scary, again, is that time is on Solar's side because Lurker Tech is soon going to be prioritized here for Solar, as the Lurker didn't just now start for Cham.
Yeah, we're at a point where Solar wants to lose his Roaches. He wants to take these engagements, even if they're not favorable, because he just wants to shave off his supply too. There we go. Get 12 Hydras, 2 Vipers, soon to be 12 Lurkers, 2 Vipers with energy.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the dynamic of ZVZ, it's Lingbane versus Lingbane, into Roach v Roach, into Lunker versus Lunker, and Solar's gonna get there first. Cham is one step behind when it comes to that Lurker Tech, and we'll see if he can survive here until he can get into his own. He does deny the 5th base here of Solar.
Sandwich is good, but yeah, sort of get sandwich just like so. I mean, Solar's bread on the sandwich is looking a little thin, but here come the Lunkers to reinforce. Cham will not be able to break through.
Yeah, the Lurkers are a brick wall here for Cham, and Cham is going to get completely cleaned up. He does try to escape with some of his Ravagers here, but alas, he's being just targeted down by by the remainder of Solar's army. So a good cleanup here. And Cham back at home doesn't really have much of a bank. You can see here he has a lot of minerals, but where is his gas?
Used up. Use them all up on the upgrades, on just about everything else. He's scrambling right now to get some static defenses up, but Solar is not one to let go of an opportunity like this. Cham does have Lurkers of his own, and it's going to help a whole ton when it comes to staving off the Roaches here from Solar.
Yeah, it is helping. We do have the Yoinks here from Cham as well. He does pick off 2 of those Lurkers. Good pickups here from Cham. At the same time, the counter of Biles forcing back the army, forcing the Unsiege as well. Upgrades are in favor of Solar when it comes to the Lurker upgrades specifically. And here we go. He does rotate over towards the left-hand side. Does outposition Cham.
Yeah, will be able to stake himself right in the middle of this turning. Good blinding clouds coming out from Cham. But he just doesn't have enough energy on these Vipers.
Yeah, and again, he's just not in position. Again, the lurkers are here for Solar. They're not in position for Cham. They're a little bit too far away, and Solar is getting access to the natural. What can Cham do? How can he engage? He's running into lurkers.
He's starting to run into lurkers. That's a lot of AoE. 3-3 did, or +3 range did just finish up here for Cham. But I don't think it's enough to really make up for the sheer numbers that Solar has.
Yeah, and Solar, he just outpositions, and he does wedge himself in between the natural and the third base. We have some yoinks, but not enough DPS to actually kill the lurkers. They re-burrow, and Cham, he's locked out of his own natural. GG gets called. Solar takes game number 1.
Just like so. I cannot believe, Light, that I let myself think that we weren't going to get lunkers.
I mean, that's where we were headed, and again, like, even though Cham was getting a faster hive, like, his Hydrogen was late, so even with the faster hive, it didn't matter. It honestly didn't matter there. He was late to lurkers, and that is what mattered most in that situation. Solar able to rush into them a little bit faster, and not just that, but also outposition Cham as well, able to just outmaneuver him towards the end there. Just really clean play there from Solar.
Yeah, very clean, very slick. I mean, there was one moment in the middle of the game where I think Cham was able to really bamboozle Solar and really fake an all-in when he made all of those roaches. Solar, was preparing back at home. He was getting his defenses ready, and that just allowed Cham to sneak out a whole ton of drones to even overtake Solar for a couple of seconds when it came to that work account. But once Solar got his Overlord in position, once Solar recognized the game that they were playing, he just knew what the correct route was to victory.
Yeah, and like there was no rushing out of Solar either, like as in there was nothing really pressuring him to try to kill Cham before he got there. Like he saw that Cham was faster than him to get into the infestation pit, but Solar, he just saw that and he's like, okay, I'll just get into my own. Sure, I'm going to be later than you, but I'll just be able to out-control you anyway. Just really confident play there out of Solar. Really impressive stuff on Amphion.
Yeah, very, very confident, I think is a good way of describing Solar in this matchup. Describing Solar in general, and to be one with a cool head.
Yeah, more often than not, he is able to keep that cool, calm, collected head here. And again, the pressure is on Cham to spice things up. He did have an interesting opener in game 1, but what do we have in game number 2?
Over here in the top left, it's somewhere on the map on Oceanborn. There was a Blue Zork player for Vitality, it was Solar.
And in the bottom right, we have for Starlight Twinkle, it is Cham. Let's go.
I just realized he has a speaker behind him.
He does.
And not like a computer speaker, but
no.
The type that you would see at a restaurant.
At a restaurant? That's your go-to?
Or like a bar or a racetrack.
Sure. Like
a live music venue.
Yeah.
A small live music venue.
Yeah. There you go. He likes his beats. He does like them. Yeah. He's hiding his PowerPoint. Sometimes we see it. He's got like 10 different things like plugged into one outlet. It's terrifying.
Oh. Yeah. Is it though?
It is.
Should I not be doing that?
No, ideally not.
Oh. I had to make some adjustments.
It's fine. I'm sure it's fine. But yeah, we are settling into our game here. And again, Cham, I want to have faith in what he has to offer here on Oceanborn. Is his map of choice. Once again, Oceanborn's going to be our map pick, by the way. Krystianer picked it last game. Cham here. It is one of the more common maps that we're seeing nowadays. A comfortable map for a lot of players.
Yeah. I think it was a pretty standard map in even just a previous map pool, but now that it is a map that is slightly older, and by that I mean, carried over from the last season, is something that the players are very familiar with. They know exactly how to make use of this map, and they know exactly how their opponents want to make use of the map. So, yeah, it's not too much to figure out in the heat of the moment itself.
Yeah, I have heard a lot of players disdain with the new maps and how crazy they are, and a lot of them, they're trying to find like a sanctuary here in some of these older maps. Maps like Oceanborn, like Alkione as well. They have been quick to embrace them. Side Delta's another big one.
Oh yeah. Side Delta. And that's the main one I can really think of. Post Youth, I think, is probably the big one. that players tend to avoid.
Yeah, it's crazy. Having the hybrid base, having the goal base as well. But that's also why I love WTL, because they force some of these maps to be played because there's no vetoes, whether they're picked by players or whether the admins force them as a starting map as well. We're able to experience some of these maps that are otherwise vetoed.
Yeah. And you get to see it shine a little bit every now and then in some of the losers picks, you know. Was an old piece of advice said by the GNR Green Wings coach, I believe, who said, if you know what map is the most vetoed, never veto it and force it whenever you can.
Wiser words have never been said. As Cham, he skips link speed. Once again, he skips link speed, same build. The exact same build 2 games in a row. Cham walling off on 2 bases, rushing into a lair, rushing into roach play. Meanwhile, Solar has correctly identified what's going on. He didn't get a full scout of the main this time, but he has pieced it together and he has also decided to skip his main nest.
That he has. Both of them going into those roach wars directly. You know, as you said, ZVZ is Ling Bane into Roach v Roach, into Hydra Lurker v Hydra Lurker, but that doesn't mean that all 3 stages are equally as long.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you see just a massively reduced Ling Bane stage.
Yeah, like we're skipping it entirely here. We're just skipping Ling Bane once again, 2 games in a row. And the question becomes, is Cham going to try to use game 1 as a way to lure Solar into a false insecurity? Remember, Cham, it looked like he was setting up for an all-in, but he didn't commit and he just decided to drone in game number 1. This time, he might just commit. He might just send it.
Yeah, send everything. Load up some of these queens into Drop-A-Lords. It's a very classic way of dealing with it, especially since Solar is playing very greedy this time. Kind of anticipating Cham to not be as aggressive.
Yeah, we can see Solar droning up, taking his 3rd base. Cham did make a wave of 5 Overlords, which is a little bit telling, and there we go, we have more roaches in production. Now, thankfully, Solar has cut droning. Now, he did still drone up a little bit more, he droned up to 48, but he is making a good amount of his own roaches at the moment.
Yeah, 12 of them, just about to pop. And this is a little bit of a larger map, Oceanborn is, so regardless, it will take Cham a little while longer, or either player a little while longer, to really make their way across. Cham's going to try to speed it up, though, with a bit of a creep highway.
There we go. The creep is being sent out across the map. You can see the Queens, the Rich Raptor pushing forward against Cham. He has cut workers for quite some time. Solar is re-droning, which is scary. He's only making 2 drones, thankfully, but he can't really afford to make too much more because here we go. Cham is pushing in.
Cham is pushing in. He is going through. Coming in with his queens as well. Not drop-a-lording them, surprisingly, but still going to be able to utilize them in the fight. Still has transfuse energy readily available on top of them, and that can absolutely be the deciding factor. That little push that tilts things towards Cham's favor.
Yeah, exactly. So here we go, the Queens, they shut down the Overlords, trying to supply block. They do successfully supply block Solar for a moment. Roaches are pushing in Ravages as well, forcing us on micro to Solar as well. He does not have any Ravages of his own.
He does not. He's trying to break through with his own roaches, but it looks like Cham might be able to keep this going. His queens are still hacking away at the army of Solar. Solar forced to pull the boys, but reinforcing roaches are going to be able to clean out the queens of Cham. He has no more staying power with this. Yeah. And it looks like Solar will be able to defend and take the W once again for Team Vitality.
GG, well played, Solar. He shuts Cham down there, shuts down the all-in without too much trouble either. Solar looking dominant, and with that, Team Vitality will take the series 4-0. They will take down Starlight Twinkle.
Just like so. GG. That's all it took, 2-2-0s.
Yeah, as a reminder, it's a best of 7, so first to 4 do win, or I mean 4 points in general do take a win here for the team, and Team Vitality, they will take it in the end. We will still play out ReWhite versus Ryung. That series will still be casted, will still take place, but it is no longer possible for Starlight Twinkle to actually win this series.
Yeah, that they cannot. A victory in this match will no longer contribute to their standings. However, map score might be able to. Map score may be able to contribute to those standings, and even on the individual level, Ryung and ReWhite, they're playing for money, for starters, they're playing for ELO, and they're playing for WTL points, or SC Boy points. No, I think it is just WTL points for the individual leagues that SC Boy does host.
Yeah, as you were saying, there's still something on the line here. Again, Team Vitality will claim the win, but at least ReWhite has a chance here to fight back for himself, for his team, earn some extra money, gain some ELO, gain some points. We'll see if he can touch Ryung, as the Tuna Terran is coming up next.
He is. And now that you mention it, like, I don't think I've been able to ask you about this. How do you like the ELO system compared to the previous, like, web of stats?
The web was more fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
They simplified things way too much with ELO. Like, yes, it is more consistent and more accurate, but it's just one line.
Yeah, like
the web, you had a bunch of lines.
For those who maybe did not watch previous seasons of WTL, at the moment, whenever we showcase a player, it shows their ELO. And the ELO is based on their win-loss ratio in WTL and Kung Fu Cup seasons. Previously, we did not have an ELO system. We had instead players given a rating based on their speed, on their defense, their offense, their mentality, what they ate that morning, like whatever they wanted.
If you ever played FIFA, it was a very similar system.
Yes. So it's kind of like D&D, where every player had like stats, and they would be associated points based on the admin's discretion, right? Like the organizers would dictate, Maru's a fast player, but like Beyond's a little bit faster, or like, Rainer is known for his speed, but he's not known for his mind, he's not known for his tactics, so he'd be like Doc's there, for example, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't something where they had a certain number of points that to distribute or whatever. No. It was overall points, which is how we had matches where you had somebody like Cyril who had 99 points going up against, I don't remember who it was, but it wouldn't have been Crank, because that would only have been against Roddy. It was somebody with like 45 points.
We didn't have moments like that as well. True. So it was, as you said, it's less accurate because it's a little bit more like opinionated, right?
Based,
yeah. There's less, factual basis. It's crazy.
I think the two casters, Roddy and Crank, were actually E rank.
I think so as well. Yeah,
for a while. That's unfortunate, but yeah, I remember that. I remember there was one time I think Beyond literally had the same amount of points as Cure, but was still one letter grade lower for some reason.
Yeah, they were like harsh on Beyond. For a while, Cyril was the only S rank player, and eventually Maru did join Cyril eventually. In that S ranking.
Oh, I remember it was Maru was the first, because Maru was on onside before Cyril joined Basilisk, so Maru was the only S rank player for a while. And then in the next season, Maru got downvoted to A rank. Cyril was the only S rank player, and then he had to beat Cyril to re-earn his S rank.
Yeah, and I remember, I think I remember Cyril dropping. I don't remember if he dropped rank or if he just dropped a lot of MMR, and he dropped below Maru because Cyril was actually taking some losses in the season as well. So there's like,
I remember that. Yeah,
it was.
I don't think he ever dropped from S, because you can't. It's S for Cyril. Come on. I don't think he ever dropped rank, but he did lose like a couple of points, which allowed Maru to just edge him out towards the end of that season.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun keeping track of all of that. But as you can all see here, it looks like we have some downtime. Looks like we do have some downtime at the moment. This usually means
nobody expected the double 2-0.
This means that we're waiting for someone. Either Ryung or ReWhite is unavailable, and where there's a 15-minute wait time, 15 minutes to allow for the player to show up. If the player does not show up, there's going to be a walkover. So that's usually why there's like downtime like this, is if they're looking for a player. I don't know which one. I don't know if it's Ryung or ReWhite, so that's kind of what we're waiting for at the moment.
What if it's both?
Okay. Could be. That could be a weird scenario. Could be.
Yeah, I mean, neither of them were expecting this straight 2-0.
Yeah, so because of that, we're going to be going on a short break. We're going to be going on a short break, and once we get some kind of update, we'll let you guys know, and we'll give you an update as well on what's going on, whether we go to the next series or whether we end up finding one of our players.
Yeah, whether we end up finding them. Oof. That's dark.
Okay. We'll see you guys soon. Enjoy yourselves. Hide yourself just like Maru. Drink your own body weight in water. If you want to play like Maru, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, that's facts.
There you go. See you soon.
We'll see you then. And we are back. It looks like we have found our players. We found one of our players anyway. It looks like ReWhite is here. Ryung is also available. Just not here on cam.
Yeah, thankfully we have our players. It's going to be Ryung versus ReWhite here in a Terran versus Protoss. Game 1 is going to be on Alcyone. Again, I was a little bit surprised to see ReWhite. I don't know if you noticed, but we are missing one of our key players from Starlight Twinkle, and that is Wayne. Wayne is one of the key components of the team, and he is MIA here today. Instead, in the absence of Wayne, we have ReWhite stepping in.
Indeed. The blue Terra player is for Vitality. It was Ryung.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, we have ReWhite for Starlight Twinkle.
Here we go. ReWhite, like you were saying, a little bit less of a known player. I mean, he is very, very active in the Chinese scene. I do remember back when ESL Masters China was a region, when we would cast the qualifiers, he would show up pretty much every day. There would be some days where he was already qualified, but he would still sign up and then be told later on, hey, you've already qualified. We're taking your name off and readjusting the bracket.
Yeah, that has happened in the past, and again, I'm just happy to see that both these players have shown up here. We can actually showcase this TVP as well. There's a little bit less pressure on ReWhite's shoulders, right? There's a little bit less pressure. You know, the series is kind of over in a way, and he can kind of play to his heart's content and do his best here against Ryung. Ryung is going to be coming in as one of the heavy favorites, of course, but ReWhite has popped off from time to time. Like, he has shown us quite a bit of skill.
Yeah, quite a bit. Quite a bit indeed. TVP, I would also say, is probably a matchup that I would favor Ryung in typically. You know, Ryung, he is known mostly for his TVT. In fact, he kind of has been given the moniker TVT Super Demon in some circles, but TVP, there's still some similarities with TVT, and Ryung's style does also transfer pretty well over in TVP.
Yeah, I don't think we ever really settled on a nickname for Ryung, right? We called Solar the Serral Slayer, right? Like, nice alliteration there. If you remember, it was Ryung who actually led his team to victory last season, led onside to victory. As Ryung, he shut Clem down.
The only player in the playoffs to be able to beat Clem.
Yeah. Exactly. We spoke about it at
Not
the
even
time.
Serral, Dark, and Maru could do that.
They couldn't do it. Maru couldn't do it. Solar couldn't do it that season either. Like for against Clem, and it was Ryung. It was Ryung to step up, and shut him down multiple times. He was even revived, if you remember, for the Ace match to bring Clem down, which was crazy.
Clem Conqueror. Clem Killer.
Okay, I can get behind that. The Clem Conqueror. That's a bit long though.
Clem Conquer. Not Conqueror, just Conquer. He conquered him on the head.
Okay. I misunderstood. That's. Oh, okay. I see. The Clem Conquer. I'm not so fond of that one.
I did initially say Conqueror.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Clem Crusher.
You thought correctly.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. I like that one. I like it.
Because it also fits, because it can be like Clam Crusher.
Yeah, there you go. If only we thought of that last season when we were casting Ryung. But regardless, we're going to be settling into this, and this is a wild one here. ReWhite's going for a Twilight Council opener, and we typically assume that's going to be Blink, or maybe even Blink behind it, but sorry, maybe even DTs behind it, but no, it's going to be a charge-based opener instead.
It's been such a long time since I saw this in PvT. Also, grabbing that third Nexus. Okay, when I saw charge being sent out, I was immediately thinking 2-base all in, but not just yet. I mean, ReWhite, he might not saturate that third base, but he also doesn't have the gateways to go for an all-in at this point.
Yeah, not yet, but we do have additional gateways on the way. I would not be surprised if ReWhite doesn't take his gases as natural. For the time being, he hasn't, but we'll see if he does ever invest. For now, we're just rushing into charge. Going to be rushing into a mass amount of Zelts as well. And I believe the goal here for ReWhite is to catch Ryung off guard with a charge timing. We'll see how many Zelts we work with. We'll see how aggressive ReWhite is going to be.
Yeah, it's something that is very, very effective. The vast majority of TVP builds just aren't usually, or the vast majority of TVP standard builds aren't really equipped to deal with something like this. It's very much on Ryung to scout and try to catch this early, and I think he catches whiff of something coming his way, because that is a wall off in his natural.
That's some clean SimCity at the natural, mate. Like, he walls off the ramp, he has a bunker in position as well, his Marines are amassing, Stim is on the way. We should also focus on Ryung a little bit here in the sense that he did prioritize Stim and combat shields quite heavily. He actually skipped out on some of that tank production for a Bioforce. So, yeah, an interesting composition here by Ryung. Actually, I think he doesn't have a single tank, so he would be vulnerable to Blink Stalkers, but it isn't Blink, it's Charge.
Yeah, great decision coming out here from Ryung. Obviously, tanks, great against Blink, terrible against Charge.
Yeah, that's so Widowmines can really come into play, but here we go. Blink is on the way behind this, so it looks like just a really gateway-heavy composition from ReWhite. Charge is done, but we haven't done much with it yet. And here we go, moving out with the double drop. At the same time, the Prism is moving out as well. Hopefully, ReWhite is going to be able to avoid those medevacs as he's skirting his way across the map.
The Cyclone catches wind of this. The Cyclone confirms those are charge LUTs. That is a Warp Prism. Ryung's still going to be committing to the double drop, but he knows what's coming his way. He knows what ReWhite has planned for him.
And immediately, as soon as he saw charge, Widowmine production. Widowmines are now on the way. That's going to be ideal here against these charge lots. We scan the main base. We get eyes on the Stalkers. They are currently vanilla Stalkers that they cannot blink under the drop. They cannot dive on top of that army. And we're going to be able to skirt away. ReWhite is transitioning, though. He's taking gases, and we're going into Colossus.
Took me a quick second to realize why you corrected yourself there. I was like, yeah, vanilla Blink Stalkers. That makes sense. I was like, oh, wait, no, never mind.
Hey, wait a minute. What did I just say? It's right, whenever you say Stalker, just Blink just comes hand in hand with it, right? Yeah. It's so weird, like, not to have them together.
Stalker's just incomplete without Blink.
True.
But I guess that's why, you know.
Well, I mean, at least Blink is now done for ReWhite. The bay is about to finish up. Fun fact, we have yet to take gases. There we go. It looks like one gas is being taken at the third base location. ReWhite's still heavily reliant on these charge lots, and he has been unable to push out, instead taking a fourth.
Yeah, good choice here for ReWhite. He knows that Ryung is going to be playing it safe from here on out. He knows that he doesn't quite have control of the map, but he had the ability to keep Ryung on his side of the map with that Warp Prism. Now that Warp Prism is gone, Ryung is unchained. He's free. He can do whatever he wants on the map, and he has a much scarier army than what ReWhite has been able to muster.
Yeah, he does. I mean, as you mentioned, without that Warp Prism, there's nothing keeping Ryung pinned back at home. Not anymore. He's pushing out across the map. As I mentioned, some of these gases are being taken. We're allowing for some Colossus production, but only one Robo producing at a time. Massive charge on counterattack towards the north, but that means that they're not at home to defend.
That they will not be Ryung as at SimCity. That is a real Colossus. It is a vanilla Colossus. Wait. Yeah, vanilla Colossus.
Yeah.
As it doesn't have thermal lance yet.
Yeah, exactly. No upgrades yet for the Colossus. Here we go. We're pushing on in. Again, barely any charges to buffer. We can dive on top of the Colossus.
Yeah, battery overcharge did just finish up, though, and there is an overcharge available. Colossus will stay alive, and Ryung will get pushed back.
Yeah, very clutch overcharge there by ReWhite. He's barely holding on, but the overcharge is about to run out. Looks like Ryung, he barely doesn't have enough to keep on pushing, though, as he does stim once again back at Omi defense. Really good SimCity out of Ryung. The Zealots, they do almost nothing there. That was a lot of Zealots, by the way. They did not break in.
Yeah, they do not. A couple of SCVs went down, but I mean, Ryung's not too far behind when it comes to the worker count, and he's got 3 orbitals. He can mule for days still.
He can mule. At least ReWhite didn't take any economic damage. No probes are killed in that push, but he's pushing out onto the map. He's maybe overextending here. Does dive on top of the army. Mine shot's going to be going off on the Zealots.
A lot of them will get weakened, taking significant hull damage, but still alive for the most part. Most important thing here for ReWhite, he has kept his Colossus alive.
Yeah, he keeps it alive. He's able to take another base. Still no additional gases. Like, again, the scariest thing to me is because he hasn't taken extra gases, he's only making 1 Colossus at a time. The Colossus kind of still very low here for ReWhite. He has a lot of Zealots, but he's relying so much on them.
Indeed, he is. Great EMP here from Ryung, taking out the shields of the vast majority of those Zealots. Still a lot of Zealots, and after a certain point, you do hit diminishing returns with them.
You do, and ReWhite is going to be splitting up his Zealots as a result to try to mitigate that, going for another big Zealot counterattack. He has his main army, of course, at the 4th base, and I think Ryung has kind of missed his opportunity here. I think it might be wise to back off and to just expand from here. I mean, sure, he has a terrifying force, but now we're getting up to 2 Colossi, now we're taking more gases, second Robo's on the way. ReWhite, he's holding his own.
He is holding his own. I think that window of Ryung to go for a timing attack has passed. Definitely with you here, Light. It's probably best here for Ryung to focus more on securing his 4th base. Those are in a bit of a vulnerable position. Most of them will live.
Ooh, yeah, 1 ghost goes down, but only 1. But here comes a massive army again. So many Zealots here with ReWhite, and he has 3 Colossi. And what do we have to defend? The Vikings are doing what they can. Big EMP here on the Zealots. Boys are being pulled. They have to be.
Indeed, they do barely anything shoots up. These Vikings have free range. That 4th base is actually going to be floating into position without much of a hindrance, but it looks like Ryung's ground forces are starting to buckle.
Ooh, they are. 1 Colossus goes down. We still have 2 left here. GG gets cold, and ReWhite fights back for himself, for his team, and puts a point on the board.
GG. Very nicely done here from ReWhite. He's in a precarious position many times throughout this game. His lack of gases was really hurting him. I was terrified, honestly, like when I saw that many Zealots out on the map here for ReWhite. I thought, well, 3 good EMPs, 2 good mine shots, and that's basically the entire army of ReWhite gone. But in the end, he was able to hold, he was able to survive. Ryung was a little bit too tunnel vision on trying to win an engagement that, yeah, his 4th was a little bit too delayed, and in the end, it ended up costing him.
Yeah, a really big pivotal moment in that game was the moment when Ryung pushed into the 4th. If you remember, it was that moment when we had 1 Colossus to defend and we barely popped off that overcharge, and it was so important that the ReWhite did not lose that position, that he did not lose that Colossus. He was able to survive, able to maintain himself, and build up that Colossus count from there. As you pointed out as well, like, he was doing such a great job of preserving his high-tech units and keeping them alive here until that eventual move out, until that eventual push. And again, because Ryung did not kill the Colossus then and there, because he didn't deal any economic damage, he missed his window, he missed his timing, and he needed to understand that, respect that, and back off and be more defensive from there. Unfortunately, he was caught out, and yeah, ReWhite did well for himself. Very impressive.
You've yelled at me for doing the exact same thing as Ryung many times in PvP.
Not wrong. Not wrong. I try to forget that. I try to... yeah, GG very well played here by ReWhite. We spoke about him before. Again, ReWhite, he's taken down players like Showtime in the past. ReWhite has had some really interesting results, really surprising showings. Unfortunately, ReWhite, he's not as active as some of the other Chinese Protoss players. I'm talking about Cyan, I'm talking about Firefly, I'm talking about Jeshi. He's just not competing as often in these online tournaments, so we see less of him, but he's still an amazing player in his own right.
Yeah, it doesn't really... Well, but here we go. Continuing on side Delta in the top left corner, we have a red Protoss player. It's ReWhite for SLT.
We do have ReWhite and Ryung in the bottom right for Team Vitality as well. And here we go again. ReWhite doing well for himself here, already taking the first game. Can he take the 2-0? I mean, again, for Ryung to drop a map is surprising already. Can ReWhite keep this up?
Well, we shall see. Already he's got to be feeling good about that victory. You can see that little fist pump as he saw that victory screen going up. It's got a little bit of momentum riding his way. Ryung, on the other hand, was very eager to get into this game. Not sure if he really was able to take that step back and recognize what went wrong in game one.
Yeah, and again, like, I don't blame Ryung because it was such a quirky build out of ReWhite. Remember, he rushed into charge of all things, but he didn't actually hit a charge timing. He just waited back at home, got into blink, took a really fast 4th, took a really fast 5th, took a fast 3rd even before that. So yeah, it was just a really difficult build and really difficult just game to read there from the side of Ryung. So now he's on the back foot. Now Ryung, he's the one with the pressure on his shoulders.
Yeah. He's the one who's got to keep that elo up.
There you go. The elo, the pride as well, right? Like, you don't want that kid Maru to start poking fun at him. Like, it's...
No, he's already sent him a number of messages.
100%.
And Ryung responds by sending him the replays of Cyan versus Maru at IEM.
The fire in the chat. Oh my god. Ryung, calm down. He's just a kid. Just pull back. Oh.
He hasn't finished his water yet.
I was about to say, you know what? Especially because Ryung does mentor Maru quite a bit when it comes to a lot of these games, a lot of these matches. We can't see Ryung's camera right now, and really what's happening is Ryung also has his own bottle of water that is also his own body weight as well. It's just a massive, gigantic bottle, and he's plowing it down.
Yeah. So big that it actually blocks the camera.
It does. That's why the camera's off right now. It's been crushed by the bottle.
Can't use his phone either, because, you gotta keep that space for the bottle.
You do. It takes up the entire room. And we'll see where this takes us, as once again Twilight Council opener out of ReWhite, and I would assume this is going to be for a blink-based opener, but now I'm not so sure. Now it could be charge, could be DTs, it could be anything.
Yeah, everything's really up in the air right now from ReWhite. I like this in the chat. Ryung is actually in a fish tank because he's tuna.
That makes sense. That's accurate. There you go.
Yeah, it's going to be charged once again, coming out from ReWhite.
Okay, so it's going to be another charge-based opener. It's looking so far like the same build. We do have a Mind Shot going off, taking down the hallucination. Ryung can go for his own aggression as well with this initial Widow Mine, with this initial medevac drop, I should say, and we'll see what Ryung can get done, as for the first time, he's going to be able to apply some pressure early on in the early game.
Yeah, going across the map with his drop. It is a single mine, but with a whole bunch of Marines behind all that. Reaper playing a quick little dance here with the Adepts, just trying to keep ReWhite's attention away. He does spot the medevac though. Will be focusing his attention on it.
Yeah, wouldn't mind does Maru zoning away some of those units. Marines, they do go for the Robo, actually. Interesting choice. Instead, we're going for the army. Wouldn't mind will not go off.
Yeah, Observer popped out just in time to allow for that one additional volley, that one additional hit. These Marines haven't done anything yet, really.
Yeah,
At the very least, Ryung is able to scout, but this was a very committed drop.
It really was. So a really nice cleanup here by ReWhite. The Warpins as well. He locked in that Reaper, by the way. It could not escape, could not get away. So really nice moves here out of ReWhite. Charges soon to finish up. But we spoke about how this time Ryung is being more aggressive, not just with the drop, but now with Cloak Banshees as well.
Yeah, taking a page from Maru's book this time. Instead of the other way around, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if maybe even Maru took this from Ryung even as well. You know, maybe something they've been cooking up together. I'm curious if this is going to be a 2-base all-in, right? Like, we saw this out of Maru, and Ryung can still throw down the third, but for now he's building up here on 2 bases with his tank production, with his Banshees, with his bio as well. We'll see how hard this hits. We'll see if Ryung does end up committing to this.
We shall see. My eyes are going to be glued to that production tab light already. Stim and +1 on the way. And like you said, Ryung could still throw down a 3rd base, but those 2 more axes get thrown down. It's pretty much confirmed. Ryung is going to be hitting a fairly early timing.
Yeah, I believe that's going to be a 5-rack setup. I think we already have 3 racks, so we have 2 more on the way. Meanwhile, we do have a mass gateway explosion here from our opponent, but the Banshees, they do slip into that natural base. We're getting some probe kills.
Yeah, 2 Banshees could be enough to one-shot these probes, despite the shield battery.
Yeah,
Observer forced to be recalled.
Yeah, we do force a recall. The army comes back home as well, so good damage dealt here by Ryung. At the same time, behind this, we're still building up Marauders, still building up Marines, Medevacs as well. I believe we have knock-on tank production, so this is a different build compared to what Maru did. If you remember, when Maru pushed out with his 2-base all-in, it was with 5 tanks. Here instead, we have Widow Mines.
Yeah, and I can't say I blame Ryung for making that adjustment. He confirms, once again, Charge was the tech of choice, the upgrade of choice here from ReWhite, so yeah, going 2 tank heavy would really hinder yourself when you go for a push like this.
Yeah, it really would. The first Colossus is now in production as we speak, but here comes a move out of Ryung. Again, it does look quite committed here. Still no 3rd CC on the way from Ryung. The Widowmane, so we might drop the War Prism does come back in, but the turrets do finish.
And that is the perfect position for the turrets to be. A couple of Marines were kept at home, but now that the Zealots have been dealt with, they will be making their way across the map. And the boys have been pulled.
I believe so. Yeah, there we go. The boys have been pulled. It is a 2-base all-in. A different variation from what we saw against Maru, but the same overall concept here. We have tanks, we have Widow Mines, we have Banshees as well. But the Colossus does come out just in time.
Yeah, it does pop out, but it's very exposed. No buffer, no shield battery, no nothing. Ryung is focused more on the main army, the Gateway army on the ground. But the Colossus once again moves away from the safety of the high ground. Will actually die to a Widow Mine of all units.
Yeah, the Colossus falls. The 3rd base has been broken, and the 2-base of Ryung has succeeded, has worked this time. Again, there's nothing here to defend. There's a couple of Stalkers, not enough Zealots, not enough Colossus either. Sure, ReWhite's going for a counterattack, but it doesn't even matter because Ryung, he's broken the natural and he's busting into the main.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Ryung can lift his buildings.
He can.
And ReWhite can't.
True, he can lift them up. We're going for a desperate warp-in back at home, but we're focusing on the Stalkers one after the other. We have 5 Stalkers left in the main base, but the tanks have sieged. They're racing back home, but they have to push up a choke point. They have to push up the ramp.
They do push up the ramp. They surround the tank. That's a nice little pick-off, but they in turn get surrounded by Marines. GG is called. Ryung will take that game, will not allow ReWhite to take the 1-1, but ReWhite, I'm just looking at his face, he seems satisfied with how he played.
GG, well played. I mean, ReWhite may not have taken the 2-0, but taking a game off of Ryung is no easy feat. I mean, Clem even struggled to do that, so very impressive stuff here out of ReWhite.
Yeah.
To be the only player in his team to take a map, so GG, well played. But a shout out to Team Vitality as they do take the series 5-1. They take another win And I believe Team Vitality are currently undefeated. Yeah, they're looking strong so far in this season of WTL.
They've so far only dropped, I believe, 3 maps in the group stage, and sure, we are only in round 3 out of 11, but still, it's pretty impressive what we've been able to see from them.
Oh yeah, very impressive stuff here. Very impressive. GG, well played. With that, we're going to be going on a short break, and when we return, we have our next matchup here. We have Offside versus Psystorm Na'Vi.
Yeah. Hope you haven't had enough of Vitality yet.
Hope not, as we have their...
continuing with them.
Yeah, their sister team's going to be coming out.
Yep. Sister team, that's the right thing to call them.
What were we gonna say?
Or the right terminology. I think I was gonna say like the offshoot, what do you call it? The branch.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. I was gonna call it like the branch team.
It's fine. Well, we all get
Satellite.
But now we're gonna be coming back in a couple of minutes. Take this moment to get some snacks, some water, get some rest, get some hydration going. Drink yourself, just like Ryung, just like Maru. We'll be back soon with our next series.
Yeah. That's a show.